is me, Emma, in my studio. I'm about to do the thing I do. I do this, right? It's like I have to sort my trousers out. It's because I'm sitting down and everything gets in the wrong place. So anyway, here I am back in my studio with my beautiful jug of seed heads and my lovely new sketchbook, which I purchased from our beautiful local art shop. We're very lucky to have one locally, and I felt quite inspired. I just really wanted to do a drawing on the front of here. So I had a silver pen and I just sat with this jug the other day and I just did some of the shapes that I could see in the jug. I'm not sure whether this is going to be the permanent front of this. It's not my normal thing. I usually like to stick things on and sew things on, and so we'll see. But I just felt that dark, that lovely black colour was asking to be turned into something and to have the silver put on it. So inside, all I've done so far is I've cut out some of my pages. You've seen me do this before, but what you do is you just snip, take a handful and snip. If you can see that, if I move my fingers out of the way, you can probably see that. So you're snipping in between these two bits here, okay? And then you can just pull the pages out quite easily, or if you want to, you can put them back in. So you can press them back in like that, which is very easy to do. So this is really a raw beginning. These are what I talk about as being the scary white blank sheets of uncertainty, and I don't know where I'm going to go next, but what I think I'm going to do is set my table up so that I can do some painting and printing. I'm going to start with some of these pages and get them coloured in a bit. I'm not quite sure what colours I want to use. I can't decide whether to do sort of autumnal colours or whether I'm going to go brights. I don't know. I'm just going to see. I'm going to get my paints out and set myself up and see what happens, and I'll try and show you some of my process. Okay, so I've got some blank sheets of paper here, and I've got all sorts of, I've got some acrylic paints, I've got some, these are water soluble crayons, I've also got some water soluble pencils waiting. I've got all sorts of things I can use. I've got lovely bits of corrugated cardboard and things if I want to do printing. I've got boxes of stuff to do printing. I've got some little bit of watercolour paint here. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to start, so I think we'll just, what I've found, I've got some very old fabric paint here that I just thought I've put some orange in with it, and I've just created a colour. And I've got my big paintbrush here. I like to use these. These are one of my favourite paintbrushes to use. It's something that I had from when my daughter was little, I think. Nice big paintbrushes. So we're just going to slosh some paint around. The scariest bit, right, is starting. And I'm just as scared as anybody else, because it's like this fear takes you over and you go, oh, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just go and read a book instead, or I'll just go and hoover the house instead. See, look, you can paint that. What you could then do is you just take a second piece of paper and you can put that on top of there like that. Okay, there's something as simple as doing that, okay? No big deal. And instantly you've created something with a textured sort of looking pattern to it. And while that's wet, there's nothing to stop you taking, I'm going to use a big chunky one here, look. Nothing to stop you taking something chunky and just going, well, I'm going to look at those, I'm looking at the honesty in my jug, and it kind of, this may or may not be exactly how it goes, okay? I don't really care. I'm just looking at and feeling it and feeling the shapes and going, ooh, and it's quite elegant, and it has these lovely sort of quite a swirly feel to it, very curvy, and you can put as many on as you want to. You can have some coming off the page. There we go. Isn't that lovely? That sounds so nice. It's so lovely to do because the page is a bit wet and this is a soluble crayon. That feels really nice to do. So I'm just going to put some little sort of seed head bits in. I mean, anybody can draw circles, look. And I've looked at the jug, but I kind of know what honesty looks like. I don't really need to look at it. And I'm not trying to do like botanically accurate drawings. I'm just trying to play it, looking at the shapes. So that's quite nice. I quite like that. I quite like the pattern of it. And I'm just wondering what if I put something else on top. If I've got something a bit darker I can put on top of that. And what I need is, I keep loads of these. These are just, I've got zillions of them. Most of them have got paint on. These are just margarine tub lids. They make really nice little paint trays. You don't have to go and, I don't know if this is going to come out. Ooh, there you go. You don't have to go and buy loads of expensive stuff to do this. Just use what you've got around the house. So I'm just going to make that a little bit pinker. Now this is going to be quite opaque because it's an acrylic paint. So I'm just going to water it down a bit. And I'm just going to kind of splodge it over these. I'm not too worried about how round they are. I'm just going to do it quite roughly because I'm trying not to think about it too much. I'm trying to just get a feeling. So that when and if I took this into something textile, it's not too prim and proper. There's a bit of pink going on there. And if you don't like that, if you think that's too much, you think that's too thick, the other little trick is to have just a bit of tissue paper. This is a bit of kitchen roll, and you can just knock that back a bit. If you don't like it, or you can add another colour on top. So that makes it look as though it's kind of messy, but I really like the feel of that. That feels quite free, and it's got lots of potential for doing something stitchy with it. Shall I colour those bits in, I wonder? Shall we put a colour into those? What colour have I got that I'd like to put into those bits? Maybe this dark colour. Let's see what happens if I do this. This is all experimenting, and I'm not sure that I like that actually. I think I quite like them being just open circles. I think so, but actually maybe doing one or two, maybe doing some that are closed in as well, so you're getting a bit of variety. Oh, it's so lovely doing this, I can't tell you, it's just the nicest therapy. It's not going anywhere, I'm just doing it for the fun of it. So I'll put that one over there to dry, and then I've got this other piece. This is the second piece that I instantly created. So I'm thinking I might do something. I've got these, sorry, I'm sorry to lean across in front of you, but it's trying to film this is quite tricky. So I've got these beautiful seed heads, which are allium seed heads, and you can see they've still got the seeds in them. So I have to be really careful not to drop them. So I think I'm going to think about how I'm going to create that onto here, looking at this background here. And I'm just wondering whether I use one of these maybe, or whether I'm going to, in fact, do I want to wet it a bit? I think I might just wet that a bit. I don't know why, I just feel like I'm going to wet that a bit because it has actually dried. It's dried quite quickly actually, because the acrylic paints dry quite quickly, and I think this fabric paint, I don't know what that's made from. It's so old. I've had that in the cupboard donkey's years. From when I used to do quite a bit of printing onto fabrics. Ooh, I think we'll have a blue. Let's just see what happens here. Let's just do. As I say, this is not botanical drawing. This is just looking at the shapes. And I think those are they're kind of quite roundy on the ends. Down a bit so you can see what I'm doing. And what I like, because I put the wet on it, that makes this really easy to use, because again these are water soluble, so it's not a hard edge, and I quite like the way that the paint is now bleeding. It's kind of bleeding a bit there, isn't it? Oh, isn't that nice? Oh, that feels so lovely too, especially if I slow down. If I slow that right down, and you can go over these again and make them a bit stronger, some of them, if you want to. You can add as many in as you like. As I always say, this is you choosing. This is you making and creating from what's inside you, and it's totally about what pleases your eye. It's got nothing to do with anybody else whatsoever. Now, do I do a stem on that? Ooh, question is, do I do stems or not stems? I think I'm going to do another one up here. Ooh, that's quite wet, that bit. I'm just going to mop that a little bit. A stray thread getting in on the act. Oh, doesn't that sound lovely? Got to be a little bit careful because the paper is wet and I don't want to poke holes in it, but I think the paint layer that I've got on it will help protect it a bit. And I'm not worried about whether I've got too much water or too little water. I'm just letting the process take the colour. So do I do some stalks on there? I think I'm going to do some stalks on there. I don't know why, I just feel I want to do some stalks on there. Give it a bit of definition. And I know these end up with sort of a bit in the middle like this. I'll possibly need to redo these a little bit. And now we'll bring a big stalk down here. Nothing's wrong, nothing's right. And I think three is about the right number. And I might just try something here. Okay, so I've got another scary blank. Oh, that's that bit. It doesn't matter, I'll do that bit. That's the front bit of these. These are Pink Pig sketchbooks that I use because I like them because they're square. Oh, look. I've got a little ghost there. I've got a little ghost print. I quite like that. That's like sort of a misty morning seed head. So I quite like that. So that's me getting started. I'll show you, I did this one. This was the first one I did. Literally, I took my blank sheet and I put pink paint on it. And then I did some quick drawings. And that got me going. I might not like it. It might not be the greatest piece. But the most important thing is just get going. If you just get over that initial hurdle. And I'll show you this one. This was the first of the honesties that I did. I did the same thing. I painted the page pink. And in actual fact, I used a bit of the corrugated. Can you see it's got little lines going up there? I did a bit of corrugation onto there. So that gave me a little bit of interest going on in the background. And actually, I'll finish this off because I was starting to plodge some orangey bits onto here. Let's get my big paintbrush here. There we go. This is what I was starting to do with these. And you can see that's quite opaque. It's covering up what's inside the circles, so I'm going to use this just to knock that back a bit so that I end up with a nice mixed, so you can see it, but it's not covering everything up in the middle. And I didn't know that was going to work. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I just tried it. And look at the lovely colours coming on here. That's nice as well. So you can see that was my first honesty. Oops, mop those up. That was my first sort of honesty print. I'm just going to mop that as well. And then that kind of evolved into the one that I showed you, like that. So you can see there's a difference. I think that's looser. It's more curvy. This was very straight up and down, and that's kind of softened, and I really like the bluey colour. And again, this was like my first seed head quick sort of drawing, and that's kind of evolved into this one, and I really quite like that. So there's 4 nice pages for my sketchbook to get me started, and already I'm feeling excited. I can feel how maybe these could translate into something with textiles and stitch, but I'm also just really loving the process, loving the transition from that to that. As it's a bit like, you know when you make pancakes, and your first pancake is usually really hard and leathery and thick and horrible, and as the pan gets hotter, your pancakes get better and better, and the last pancake's always the best. And I think the more you do this, set aside a morning, give yourself 10 minutes, it doesn't matter how long you've got, but just start, and you too can play and find what's inside you that's going to come out. I mean, see that, honestly, the difference between that, when I first started and I was feeling quite sort of, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and I was thinking about how am I going to film this, what's it going to look like, and the transition from that to that, same technique but totally different image that I've created. So I'm just going to leave it there for now, and we'll see where I get to with this